You stand up from the couch, maybe you've been scrolling your phone for an hour, and then boom, the room starts spinning. Your vision goes dark at the edges, maybe you even see white spots. You grab the wall, you wait a few seconds, and then it's just gone, like nothing happened. If that sounds familiar, you are not alone, and you are not imagining things. That quick dizzy spell when you stand up actually has a name. It has a very real explanation rooted in basic body science. And by the end of this video, you're going to know exactly what's causing it, why it hits teens especially hard, and what you can actually do about it starting today. If this is something that happens to you or someone you know, drop a comment below right now. I want to know how often this is happening for you. My name is Sarah, and I'm a health educator. Let's get into it. So let's start with a name. What you're experiencing is most likely something called orthostatic hypotension. It sounds like a big medical term, but let's break it down. Orthostatic just means related to standing upright. It comes from the Greek word for standing. And hypotension means low blood pressure. Put them together and you've got a drop in blood pressure that happens when you stand up. Doctors also call it postural hypotension, or you might have heard people just call it a head rush. Whatever you call it, it's the same thing. Here's the thing, this isn't just something that happens to sick people or older adults. Research shows that roughly half of all teenagers experience this at some point. It is one of the most common reasons teens end up at a doctor's office complaining of dizziness. So if you've been quietly wondering whether something is wrong with you, the answer in most cases is no, your body is just doing a very human thing. And the fact that it's so common in teens specifically isn't a coincidence. There are real biological reasons for that, and we're going to talk about all of them. Let's talk about what's actually happening in your body when this occurs, because once you understand the mechanism, it all makes so much sense. When you're sitting down or lying on your couch, your blood is distributing itself pretty evenly throughout your body. Your heart doesn't have to work super hard, your blood pressure is relatively stable, and everything is cruising along. Now the second you stand up, something dramatic happens almost instantly. About half a liter of blood, we're talking a little over 2 cups, suddenly shifts downward due to gravity. It pools in your legs and your lower body. Your heart now has less blood to pump, so your blood pressure drops. And when your blood pressure drops, less blood reaches your brain for a brief moment. That lack of blood flow to the brain is exactly what causes that dizzy feeling, the darkening vision, the spots, the tunnel vision, or that foggy, confused sensation some people describe as brain fog. Now here's what's interesting. Your body actually has a built-in recovery system for this exact problem. Your autonomic nervous system, which is the part of your nervous system that runs things automatically without you having to think about it, like your heartbeat, your digestion, your breathing. That system is supposed to detect the blood pressure drop and compensate for it almost instantly. It does this by telling your heart to beat faster and telling your blood vessels to tighten up, which pushes blood back up toward your brain. In most people, most of the time, this whole process happens so quickly that you never even notice it. But in orthostatic hypotension, that compensation is a little too slow. There's a lag. And in that gap between when your blood pressure drops and when your body corrects it, you feel that dizziness. The whole episode typically peaks around 8 to 15 seconds after you stand up, and most people find the symptoms completely gone within 30 to 60 seconds. That's a pretty tight window, but when you're in the middle of it, it can feel really alarming. So why does this happen so much more in teenagers? This is one of my favorite parts to explain, because it's a really cool intersection of biology and growth. First, let's talk about growth spurts. When you're a teenager, your body can grow several inches in a single year. Your bones are getting longer, your muscles and tissues are stretching and expanding to fill out your new frame. But here's the catch. Your blood volume and your cardiovascular system sometimes struggle to keep up with how fast the rest of you is growing. Think of it like your plumbing system hasn't quite scaled up to match the new, bigger building it's supposed to serve. You've got longer legs now, which means blood has farther to travel against gravity to get back up to your heart and brain. And if your blood volume is relatively low compared to your new body size, that pooling effect when you stand is even more pronounced. Research consistently shows that the most common person complaining of this kind of dizziness is an adolescent who's right in the middle of a growth spurt, often someone who is tall or is growing rapidly. Second, there's dehydration. Teenagers are chronically underhydrated. It's not even a moral failing, it's just the reality of busy school days, skipping breakfast, drinking more soda and energy drinks than water, and not thinking about fluids until you're already thirsty. And by the time you feel thirsty, you're already somewhat dehydrated. When your blood volume is lower from dehydration, that blood pressure drop when you stand becomes even steeper, and the dizziness gets worse. This is also why orthostatic hypotension tends to hit harder in the morning. Your blood pressure is naturally at its lowest when you wake up, and you've been lying down for hours without drinking anything. Third, and this is something that flies under the radar, meals matter. If you've skipped a meal or eaten very little, your blood sugar is lower, and your body has fewer resources to regulate things efficiently. Big, heavy, carbohydrate-loaded meals can also do the opposite and make things worse because more blood gets redirected to your digestive system after a big meal, leaving less available everywhere else. Both extremes can increase your risk of feeling dizzy when you stand. Fourth, there's body type. Research notes that teenagers who are particularly tall or slender tend to experience this more frequently. If you've got long legs, blood has more distance to travel upward against gravity. If you have less muscle mass, you have less muscle contraction helping to pump that blood back up because your leg muscles, when they're active, actually help squeeze blood back up toward your heart. This is called the skeletal muscle pump, and it's a real thing. Sedentary lifestyles, lots of sitting, not a lot of physical activity, reduce how well that muscle pump works. Fifth, and this one matters, hot environments. Hot showers, hot tubs, being outside on a very warm day. Heat causes your blood vessels to dilate, which means they get wider. When your blood vessels are dilated, more blood pools in them, especially in your lower body, and that makes orthostatic hypotension much more likely to trigger. This is why you might feel fine most mornings, but then suddenly get really dizzy after a long hot shower. Now let's talk about the difference between this is normal and manageable, and this is a sign I should see a doctor, because that distinction matters. For most healthy teenagers, these dizzy spells when standing are transient, meaning they come and go quickly. They resolve within a minute, and they don't happen during the actual act of standing still or walking around. They're annoying and sometimes scary, but they're not a sign of an underlying serious condition. The technical term for this is initial orthostatic hypotension, and research is clear that for young people, this is almost always a normal physiological response and not autonomic dysfunction, meaning your nervous system isn't actually broken, it just has a brief compensation delay. However, there are some situations where you really should talk to a doctor. You should seek medical advice if the dizziness is happening very frequently, like multiple times a day, every single day. You should also see someone if you're actually fainting and losing consciousness, not just feeling dizzy. If the dizziness lasts longer than about a minute after standing, if it's happening even when you're not changing positions, if it's accompanied by chest pain, heart palpitations, severe headaches, or numbness, those are all reasons to check in with a healthcare provider. And if it's significantly interfering with your daily life, making you afraid to stand up, causing you to miss school or activities, that's also worth a conversation with a doctor. There's also a related condition called POTS, postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome, which involves not just a blood pressure drop, but a significant, prolonged increase in heart rate when standing. POTS tends to cause more persistent and more disabling symptoms than the typical transient dizziness most teens experience. If your dizziness is accompanied by your heart racing dramatically when you stand, lasting more than 10 minutes, that's something a doctor should evaluate. Okay, so let's get to the part you actually came here for. What can you do about this? The good news is that there are several simple, evidence-backed strategies that can significantly reduce how often this happens to you and how intense it feels when it does. Number 1, hydrate consistently. This is the single biggest lifestyle factor. You should be aiming for around 2 to 3 liters of water per day. That's roughly 8 to 12 cups. And here's a specific tip backed by research. Drink a glass or 2 of water first thing in the morning before you even get out of bed. This boosts your blood volume before you're upright and can make a significant difference in how your body handles that first stand of the day. Number 2, don't stand up fast. I know this sounds almost too simple, but slowing down the transition from lying to sitting to standing actually gives your cardiovascular system the time it needs to catch up. Instead of springing up off the couch or out of bed, take it in stages. Sit up first, pause for a few seconds, let your legs hang off the edge of the bed or couch, and then stand. That staged approach dramatically reduces the initial blood pressure drop. Number 3, muscle contractions before and during standing. This is one of the coolest things researchers have found. Before you stand up, try squeezing your leg muscles, pumping your calves, or clenching your buttocks and thighs. Doing this for even 15 to 20 seconds before rising fires up that skeletal muscle pump, which pre-activates blood flow back toward your heart before the gravitational pooling can happen. Once you're standing, continuing to lightly tense your lower body muscles can help keep blood moving upward. Number 4, be mindful of heat. If you know hot showers tend to trigger your dizziness, try ending your shower with a brief cool rinse or make the water slightly cooler overall. Take your time getting out of the tub or shower rather than rushing to stand straight up. Number 5, eat regularly and watch your meal composition. Skipping meals doesn't do your blood pressure any favors. Eating balanced, regular meals helps maintain stable blood sugar and blood volume. Increasing your salt intake a little, with guidance from a healthcare provider if you have any existing health conditions, can actually help retain fluid and boost blood volume, which reduces the intensity of orthostatic drops. Number 6, if you feel a dizzy spell coming on, know what to do in the moment. The safest thing is to lower your head below your heart. Crouch down, put your head between your knees, sit back down, or lie down if you can. This gets blood back to your brain quickly. Do not try to power through severe dizziness while standing, especially near stairs or hard surfaces, because falling is a real risk in that window. And here's the genuinely reassuring part of all this. For most teenagers, initial orthostatic hypotension tends to improve on its own over time. As your body matures, your cardiovascular system gets better at those rapid compensatory adjustments. Your blood volume catches up to your frame. The growth spurts level off. Most people find this becomes a much smaller issue as they move through their late teens and into their 20s. It's not a life sentence. So let's bring it all together. That dizzy, dark-edged, slightly terrifying head rush you feel when you stand up too fast is called orthostatic hypotension. It happens because gravity pulls blood into your lower body faster than your cardiovascular system can compensate. It's especially common in teens because of rapid growth, lower relative blood volume, dehydration, and body physiology. Most of the time, it's completely normal, just an inconvenient delay in your body's pressure regulation. Slow down your movements, stay hydrated, use your muscles before standing, and watch your heat exposure. And if it's severe, frequent, or accompanied by concerning symptoms, please see a healthcare provider who can evaluate what's going on. You're not dramatic. You're not broken. Your body is just growing fast and figuring things out, and now you know exactly what's happening when it does. If this video helped you finally put a name to something you've been experiencing, go ahead and subscribe. I cover health topics like this all the time. The stuff that happens to your body that nobody really explains in plain language. Because everyone deserves to understand what's going on inside them. Thanks for watching. And I'll see you in the next video.